The throne room of Emperor Vaxin III stretched like a canyon of polished metal and crystal. Light from 3 suns pierced through the tall windows, casting rainbow patterns across the floor. The Emperor sat on his throne, carved from a single piece of black stone taken from the first world his ancestors conquered. Around him stood his war council, generals and admirals who had never known defeat. "The Sol system," Admiral Kortak said, pointing to the hologram floating in the center of the room. A small yellow star appeared with several planets circling it. 8 planets. Only one holds intelligent life. They call it Earth. The hologram zoomed in on the 3rd planet. Blue oceans covered most of it. Green and brown continents dotted the surface. White clouds swirled in patterns. "They are primitive," another admiral said. "They have barely reached their own moon. Their weapons are chemical-based. Explosive powders and simple rockets. They pose no threat to the Empire." Emperor Vaxin leaned forward. His golden eyes studied the planet. "How many ships do they have in space?" "Perhaps 200, Kortax answered. "Most are small, scientific vessels. A few military craft, but nothing that could challenge even one of our scout ships. The species is also divided. They have over 190 different governments. They fight among themselves." The Emperor smiled. "Then they will fall quickly. 3 days, perhaps 4. Add Sol system to the Empire. Send the 5th Fleet. My Emperor." A voice echoed from the entrance. Everyone turned. A figure rushed into the throne room. The guards moved to stop him, but the Emperor raised his hand. The figure was Theron, ambassador from the krill species. The krill had been part of the Empire for 200 years, conquered and absorbed like so many others. Theron's gray skin looked pale. His 4 eyes were wide with something that looked like fear. "Ambassador Theron," the Emperor said. "You enter without permission. Explain yourself." Theron bowed quickly. "Forgive me, my Emperor, but I heard you plan to invade the Sol system. The humans who live there." He looked up. "Please, I beg you, do not do this." Several council members laughed. Admiral Kortax crossed his arms. "The krill fear primitives now." "You do not understand," Theron said. His voice shook. "We encountered them. 50 years ago. Human colony ships entered space, we claimed. We told them to leave. They refused." He walked closer to the hologram. "We sent 3 battle groups, 2,000 warriors. We thought it would be simple. And?" the Emperor asked. "It was a nightmare," Theron said quietly. "The humans had fewer ships, worse weapons. But they did not fight like anyone we had ever seen. They did not retreat when they should. They did not surrender when all was lost." He touched a device on his arm. A new hologram appeared. The council watched footage from the krill conflict. Human ships, small and damaged, rammed into krill vessels. Humans in spacesuits jumped between ships with nothing but handheld weapons. When their guns ran out of ammunition, they used pieces of metal like clubs. When their ships lost power, they aimed them at krill stations and let momentum do the rest. They turned everything into weapons, Theron continued. Their medical ships, their mining equipment, their cargo containers. One human captain set his own ship's reactor to explode. He crashed into our flagship, killed himself and 300 of our warriors just to take out one ship. The throne room fell quiet. The footage showed more. Human soldiers who kept fighting with terrible injuries. Human civilians who learned to make explosives from basic materials. Humans who sent messages promising they would never stop, never surrender, never forget. "It took us 3 months to push them back," Theron said. 3 months to defeat what should have been an easy victory. We lost 40% of our forces. And when we finally won, they sent a final message. "We will remember. We will return. You will regret this. But you did win," Admiral Kortak said. "You defeated them." "We forced them to leave that sector," Theron corrected. "But the cost was terrible, and that was against a few colony ships. Now you plan to attack their homeworld." He looked at each council member. "Please, I am warning you as someone who fought them. Do not engage the humans. Turn your fleet around, run." The Emperor stood. He walked down the steps from his throne until he stood in front of Theron. "The krill lost because you were weak. The Empire is not weak. We have conquered 847 star systems. We have defeated species far more advanced than these humans. What are they? Primitives who still burn fossil fuels, who still kill each other over imaginary lines on their planet. That is what makes them dangerous," Theron said desperately. "They are used to fighting, used to dying, used to suffering. Their entire planet is a battlefield. They have fought each other for thousands of years. War is in their blood. Then they will recognize superior force when they see it, the Emperor said. He turned to Admiral Cortex. Take the Fifth Fleet. Show these humans what it means to face the Calrix Empire. Make their surrender quick and complete. Cortex bowed. It will be done, my Emperor. 3 days. I promise you this world will be ours in 3 days. Theron stepped forward one more time. Please, I am begging you. I have seen what humans are capable of. I have nightmares about it still. They do not think like we do. They do not value survival above all else. They will sacrifice everything just to hurt you, just to prove they cannot be broken. Enough, the Emperor said. His voice was cold. You embarrass yourself and your species, Ambassador. The Krill could not defeat humans. The Empire will. Return to your quarters. Speak of this fear no more. Theron looked at the hologram of Earth one more time. He saw the blue planet spinning slowly in space, beautiful and peaceful from this distance. He remembered the human eyes he had seen during the conflict. Eyes that held no fear. Only determination. Only rage, I warned you, Theron said quietly. When your fleet does not return, remember I warned you. He turned and walked out of the throne room. The massive doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. Admiral Cortex studied the hologram of Earth. A pretty planet. It will make a fine addition to the Empire. The Emperor returned to his throne. Prepare the Fifth Fleet. Leave within the week. I want to watch these humans bow before the throne before the month ends. The council bowed and began to leave. They talked excitedly about the conquest, about how Earth's resources would fuel the Empire for generations, about how this primitive species would serve the Empire well once properly educated. None of them noticed Theron standing in the hallway outside. He leaned against the wall, his 4 eyes closed. He whispered a prayer in the old Krill language. A prayer for the dead. He did not pray for the humans. He prayed for the Calrix who would soon learn what he already knew. Some species should not be disturbed. Some wars should not be fought. Some warnings should be heeded. The Fifth Fleet began preparations. 500 ships, 50,000 warriors. The pride of the Calrix Empire. They had no idea what was waiting for them at the edge of Sol System. They had no idea that in a few months the word human would become something spoken in whispers. They had no idea that they should have run. The Fifth Fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol System. 500 ships appeared in the darkness of space like a swarm of metal insects. At the center floated the flagship, a vessel 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons. On the bridge, Admiral Cortex watched the screens showing the inner system. The small planets, the asteroid belt, and there the third planet from the sun, Earth. Begin scanning, Cortex ordered. I want to know everything about their defenses. Admiral, a technician said. We are detecting primitive satellites around the planet. Some appear to be weapons platforms, but they are crude. Chemical rockets with explosive warheads, Cortex nodded. And their ships? 212 vessels detected. Most are in orbit around Earth or its moon. None pose a credible threat to our shields. Good, Cortex said. He pressed a button on his command chair. Open all broadcast channels. Let me speak to these humans. The communications officer worked the controls. All channels open, Admiral. Every receiver on their planet should pick up this transmission. Cortex stood. He had given this speech hundreds of times before. Different planets. Different species. The words were always the same. People of Earth, he said. I am Admiral Cortex of the Fifth Fleet of the Calrix Empire. Your system now falls under Imperial authority. You have one of your planetary rotations to surrender. Submit peacefully and you will be integrated into the Empire. Your lives will be spared. Your civilization will continue under Imperial guidance. Resist and you will be destroyed. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Cortex sat back down. Now we wait for their government to respond. But the response that came was nothing like what the Calrix expected. Instead of one message from a unified government, hundreds of different transmissions flooded back. They came from different parts of the planet. Different languages, different governments. Admiral, the communications officer said, confusion in his voice. We are receiving, I count over 300 different responses. 300 governments? Cortex asked. No, sir. Multiple responses from the same governments, and some from what appear to be individual military units, some from civilian groups. They are not coordinated at all. Cortex listened to some of the transmissions. Some offered immediate surrender. Others cursed the Calrics in languages the translators struggled to interpret. Several simply said one word: no. One transmission caught his attention. It came from a human female wearing a military uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back. Her eyes were calm. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Defense Force. We received your message, Admiral Cortax. We have a response. Come and try." Before Cortax could reply, alarms blared across the bridge. "Admiral, launches detected from Earth's surface. Hundreds of missiles incoming." "Shields up," Cortax ordered calmly. "Let them waste their primitive weapons." The missiles came in waves. Nuclear warheads, kinetic impactors, electromagnetic pulse weapons. They struck the fleet's shields and detonated. Bright flashes lit up space, but the shields held. Not even a flicker. "No damage reported," the tactical officer said. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our defenses." "As expected," Cortax said. "Return fire. Target their moon base, one shot. Show them the difference between our technology and theirs." A beam of concentrated energy lanced out from the flagship. It crossed the distance to Earth's moon in seconds. The lunar base there, a complex of domes and tunnels, took the hit directly. The beam punched through the main dome like it was paper. "Their base is crippled," the weapons officer reported. "We are detecting survivors, but minimal defensive capability remaining." Cortax waited for the surrender. After a show of force like that, most species realized resistance was pointless. Instead, something else happened. "Admiral, the moon base just detonated its fusion reactor." The explosion lit up the lunar surface. The base and everything around it vaporized in a ball of nuclear fire. The Calrics landing parties that had been approaching to take the base suddenly found themselves caught in the blast radius. "Damage report," Cortax demanded. 12 landing craft destroyed. 300 warriors lost. The humans. They destroyed their own base rather than let us take it. Cortax stared at the screen. That made no sense. Why destroy your own facility? Why kill yourself rather than surrender? "Admiral," another officer said, "we are detecting activity across the human fleet." "They are moving to engage, all of them?" Cortax asked. "Even knowing they cannot win?" "Yes, sir. Every ship they have is moving toward us." Cortax watched the tactical display. The human ships were small, fragile. Their weapons were primitive. But they came anyway. Like insects swarming toward a light. The first wave of human ships opened fire. Their weapons did nothing to the Calric shields. But they kept firing. Kept advancing. "Destroy them," Cortax ordered. The Fifth Fleet's weapons carved through the human ships. One shot was enough to tear most of them apart. Within minutes, 50 human vessels were debris, but the rest kept coming. Cortax noticed something strange. Each wave of human attacks was different. They were adapting, learning. The second wave came in faster, more spread out. The third wave used the debris from the first two as cover. The fourth wave targeted the same spots on the shields, trying to overload them through concentrated fire. "These humans learn quickly," his tactical officer said. One human ship, too damaged to fight, suddenly accelerated. It aimed straight for a Calrix cruiser. "That ship is going to ram us," someone shouted. The cruiser tried to move, but the human ship was too close. It impacted the shields at full speed. The explosion damaged nothing, but the tactic disturbed Cortax. The human pilot had killed himself just to try to hurt them. The battle continued for hours. The Calrics destroyed ship after ship, but the humans kept adapting, kept trying new tactics, and somehow they managed to destroy 3 Calric scout ships. Not much, but more than any primitive species had achieved in the first engagement. Finally, a transmission came through. The same human woman from before. Captain Chen, her uniform was torn. Blood ran down her face from a cut above her eye. Behind her, Cortax could see people running, fires burning. "Admiral Cortax," she said. "I thought you should know." "You were warned." "What?" Cortax said. "An ambassador from the krill species told you not to come here, told you to run. You should have listened to him. You know about that?" Cortax asked, surprised. Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "We know a lot of things. We've been listening to galactic transmissions for decades. We know about the krill. We know about the wars they fought. We know they tried to warn you." She leaned closer to her camera. "You came to our home, Admiral. To the planet where we were born, where our children live, where our parents are buried. You thought we would surrender because you have better ships, better weapons? You cannot win," Cortax said. "You must see that. Winning is not the point, Chen said. You are trapped in here with us now. You wanted Earth? Come and take it. But I promise you this, every meter you advance will cost you. Every station you occupy will bleed you. Every day you stay here will be a nightmare. We will make you regret ignoring that warning. The transmission ended. Cortex sat in his command chair for a long time. Around him, his officers worked, coordinating the fleet's movements. They were winning. By every measure, they were winning. So why did Cortex feel like he had made a terrible mistake? On Earth, in a bunker deep underground, Sarah Chen looked at the other officers around her. They destroyed 30% of our fleet, one general said. We cannot keep fighting like this. We do not need to win, Chen said. We need to make them understand something. We need to make them fear us, because if we roll over and surrender, they will tell every other species in the galaxy that humans are easy prey. She pulled up a hologram of the Calrix fleet. They have better technology, but we have something they do not. We have nothing to lose. This is our home, our only planet. They have hundreds of worlds. They can afford to lose this fight. We cannot. Another officer, General Morrison, nodded. So we make it too expensive. Too painful. Too costly for them to stay. Exactly, Chen said. They came here for a quick conquest. 3 days, they probably thought. Maybe a week. We're going to show them what happens when you pick a fight with a species that has been fighting each other for 10,000 years. She looked at each person in the room. Send word to every nation. Every military unit. Every person who can hold a weapon. We do not surrender. We do not retreat. We make them wish they had run when they had the chance. Far from Earth, Ambassador Theron sat alone in his quarters. He watched the reports coming from Sol System. He saw the Calrix casualties. He saw the human resistance. He whispered to himself, I told you to run. I told you. 3 months had passed since the Calrix Fifth Fleet arrived at Earth. 3 months, that should have been 3 days. Admiral Cortex stared at the casualty reports and felt something he had never experienced before. Doubt. 43 ships damaged. 12 destroyed. 7,000 warriors dead. 15,000 injured. He read the numbers again. Against a primitive species. His second-in-command shifted uncomfortably. The humans fight unlike anything we have encountered, Admiral. They do not hold territory. They do not defend fixed positions. They strike and vanish. They turn everything into traps. Cortex knew this too well. The Fifth Fleet controlled the outer Sol system now. They held the asteroid belt. They occupied several stations. But Earth itself remained free, and every day the cost of maintaining control grew higher. The humans had turned orbital space into a nightmare. Every piece of debris was potentially weaponized. Dead satellites suddenly activated and rammed into Calrix ships. Abandoned stations exploded when troops entered them. Even human corpses floating in space sometimes carried bombs. The Emperor is sending reinforcements, Cortex said. The 12th Fleet will arrive within a week. Good, his officer said. With 2 fleets we can finally break through their defenses. But that night something changed. The humans broadcast a message on every frequency. It was not a military communication. It was a simple video. The video showed Calrix soldiers who had been captured. They sat in clean rooms. They ate food. They received medical treatment for their injuries. Human doctors worked to heal them. The prisoners looked confused but unharmed. Then the video switched. It showed human civilians. Children in hospitals, injured from orbital bombardments. Old people crying over destroyed homes. Cities burning. The contrast was clear. We treat your soldiers well even as you kill our innocent people. The message spread through the Calrix fleet like a virus. Soldiers began to question what they were fighting for. Several vassal species serving in the fleet became openly angry. Why do we fight for the Empire? One Krill engineer asked his superior. The humans show mercy to their enemies. The Empire shows none to its own people. There were other problems too, small at first but growing. Equipment failures that seemed deliberate. Orders that were delayed or lost. Vassal species crews that responded slowly to commands. Then came the impossible infiltration. Cortex was reviewing battle plans when alarms screamed through the flagship. Intruders on board, someone shouted. Deck 7, how? Cortex demanded. How did they get past our shields? Our sensors? He found out minutes later. A group of humans, led by Captain Chen herself, had stolen a Calrix shuttle during a battle. They had studied it, learned its codes. They flew right up to the flagship, and the automatic systems let them dock because they were sending the correct signals. Security forces rushed to intercept them, but the humans moved through the ship like they had studied its layout. They avoided the main corridors. They crawled through maintenance shafts that the larger Calrix bodies could not fit through. By the time guards arrived, Chen's team was already inside the ship's communication center. Guns down, Chen shouted when the guards burst in. She and her team held their weapons ready. "We are not here to fight. We are here to talk." The guards hesitated. They had orders to kill intruders on sight. But something about the calm way the humans stood, ready to die but not attacking, made them pause. "Let them speak." Cortax's voice came over the communications. "I will hear what they have to say." Chen looked directly at the camera. "Admiral Cortax, we came here to deliver a message face to face, to make sure you truly understand." "I am listening," Cortax said. "You were warned to run. You should have listened. Now you are stuck in here with us." Chen gestured to the camera. "You think you are besieging us? You are wrong. We are besieging you. Every day you stay here costs you ships, costs you lives, costs you respect from the species you rule. We will still win," Cortax said. "Maybe," Chen admitted. "Maybe you will eventually break us. Maybe you will kill every human in this system. But what will it cost you? Half your fleet? Your reputation? The loyalty of the species you conquered?" She moved closer to the camera. "Let me tell you something about Earth, Admiral. It is a death world. You know what that means? It means our planet tries to kill us every day. Diseases, predators, weather that can freeze you or burn you or crush you. Earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, tsunamis. I know your planet is hostile," Cortax said. "No, you do not understand," Chen said. "We evolved here. We are born into a world that is constantly trying to kill us, and we survive, we thrive. Do you know what that does to a species? It makes us very, very hard to kill," she smiled. "You came to conquer a death world, Admiral. You brought soldiers who evolved on gentle planets, safe planets, and you expect them to occupy a world where the very air sometimes carries death, where creatures smaller than your eye can kill you, where the ground itself can split open and swallow cities. Is this your message?" Cortax asked. "Threats about your dangerous planet?" "No," Chen said. "My message is this: leave now. Take your fleet and go. Tell the Emperor that humans are not worth the cost. Tell him we will remember this attack. Tell him that if you leave now, we will let you go in peace. But if you stay..." She paused. "If you stay, we will show you what it really means to fight a species from a death world." "And if we refuse?" Cortax asked. "Then you will learn why the Krill tried to warn you. You will learn why some wars should not be fought. You will learn what it costs to make humans desperate." Chen signaled to her team. They moved back toward the maintenance shafts. "Stop them!" a guard captain shouted. But the humans vanished into passages too small for Calrix to follow. They crawled through spaces that should not have been able to fit any creature larger than a maintenance drone. They had studied the ship's plans. They knew every weakness. By the time reinforcements arrived, Chen and her team were gone. They made it back to their stolen shuttle and escaped before the flagship's weapons could lock on. Cortax stood on the bridge, staring at the spot where the humans had been. "They infiltrated my flagship, delivered their message, and escaped. They are resourceful," his second-in-command said carefully. "They are terrifying," Cortax corrected. He pulled up the tactical display. The 12th Fleet would arrive soon. More ships, more warriors. But would it be enough? Each victory cost more than the last. Each occupied position required more troops to hold. On occupied Station 7, Calrix soldiers learned what Chen had meant. The station had fallen a month ago. It should have been secure. But the humans who worked there made life impossible. Every corridor had traps, doors that sealed shut at random, life support that failed in specific sections, food that made Calrix warriors sick, small, subtle acts of sabotage that never stopped. And then there were the humans themselves. They appeared from nowhere. Maintenance shafts, ventilation ducts, storage spaces. They would strike quickly and vanish before reinforcements arrived. One Calrix soldier went mad after 2 weeks. "They are in the walls," he screamed. "I hear them moving. Always moving. Always watching." He was right. Humans could squeeze through spaces that the Calrix thought were too small. They lived in the hidden parts of the station. They had been doing this since the occupation began. The commander of Station 7 sent a report to Cortax. Request immediate relief. Our forces are exhausted. We cannot maintain occupation under these conditions. The humans do not fight us directly. They make us fight the station itself. Similar reports came from every occupied position. The Calrics were winning territory, but losing the will to hold it. Ambassador Theron arrived with the 12th Fleet. He requested an immediate meeting with Admiral Cortax. They met in Cortax's private quarters. The Admiral looked tired. His scales, usually bright and healthy, seemed dull. "You tried to warn us," Cortax said. "I begin to understand why." Theron sat down. "I told the Emperor to run." "I told you, but no one listens to the conquered species." "What did you mean when you said humans do not fight to win?" Cortax asked. "They clearly are trying to win." "No," Theron said. "They are fighting to make victory meaningless. They are fighting to make occupation impossible. They are fighting to ensure that even if you defeat them, you lose." He pulled up footage from the Krill-human conflict 50 years ago. "Look at this. We won every major battle. We occupied their colonies. We controlled space, but we could not make them stop. Every day more resistance, more attacks, more sabotage. We finally left not because we lost, but because staying was destroying us." Cortax watched the footage. It looked exactly like what was happening now. "They are doing the same thing to you," Theron said. "They are making you bleed for every meter. They are making your soldiers hate this fight. They are making you question whether Earth is worth the cost." He looked at Cortax. "And the worst part? The Emperor will not let you retreat. He will send more fleets, more soldiers. He will pour resources into this war until it breaks the Empire." "One planet cannot break the Empire," Cortax said. "One species that refuses to surrender can," Theron replied. "Especially when other species see what is happening. My people are already talking about rebellion. The humans inspire them. If humans can resist, why cannot we?" Cortax felt a chill. He had not considered that angle. 6 months into the war, the combined Calrix fleet gathered for a final assault. 2 fleets now. Over 800 ships. 80,000 warriors. Emperor Vaxon III himself watched from his throne room, the battle being broadcast live across the Empire. "Today we end this embarrassment," the Emperor declared. "Today Earth falls." Admiral Cortax prepared his forces. But then something strange happened. A transmission came from Earth. This time it was not Captain Chen. It was a message from multiple human governments speaking together. "Admiral Cortax, Emperor Vaxon, we propose an alternative to orbital bombardment. Your warriors claim to be the finest in the galaxy. We offer you the chance to prove it." Cortax was suspicious. "What do you propose?" "Send your ground forces. Your elite warriors. We will meet them in honorable combat on the surface. If you win, we surrender Earth. If we win, you leave our system forever." The Emperor laughed when he heard this. "They offer surrender. They know they cannot win in space, so they try to make it a ground war. It could be a trap," Cortax warned. "Then spring the trap," the Emperor said. "Send 10,000 of our finest. Let them crush this human resistance. Show the galaxy that the Calrix cannot be matched in combat." So the landing began. 10,000 elite Calrix warriors, the best the Empire had. They descended in dropships to the landing zones the humans had provided. The Amazon rainforest, the Sahara Desert, the Siberian tundra, the deep ocean trenches. Cortax did not realize until too late that these were not random locations. They were chosen specifically to kill. The first reports came from the Amazon team within hours. "Commander Vexalt, a flagship. We have landed successfully, proceeding into the forest. The heat is significant. Our cooling systems are working at maximum capacity." An hour later, multiple casualties. "The insects here carry diseases. 3 warriors are sick. The local life forms are extremely hostile. We were attacked by a large predator. Our weapons killed it, but we lost 2 soldiers in the attack. 2 hours later, we cannot see the enemy. The forest is too thick, but they can see us. Snipers in the trees. They appear and vanish. We have lost 20 warriors and have not even seen most of our attackers. By the end of the first day, requesting immediate extraction. 40% casualties. The diseases are spreading. The heat is killing us. And the humans? They move through this nightmare like they were born in it. They were born in it. That was the point. The Sahara team fared no better. The heat that the Calrix found uncomfortable, humans considered mild. The sandstorms that blinded Calrix sensors. Humans navigated using simple compasses and experience. The lack of water that made Calrix warriors weak after days. Humans had trained for their entire military careers. They are not fighting us, the Sahara commander reported. They let the desert do the killing. They just watch as we die from heat and thirst. When we are weak, then they attack. The Siberian team sent even worse reports. Calrix physiology could not handle extreme cold. Their blood literally froze at temperatures humans considered winter. Warriors died within hours of exposure. The humans wear protective suits, the commander said. But they do not seem bothered by the cold. They tell us this is normal weather for this region. How can any species live like this? But the ocean team suffered the worst fate. The Calrix were land dwellers. Water pressure at depth crushed their bodies. The suits they wore were not designed for deep ocean work. Humans, on the other hand, had been exploring their oceans for centuries. They knew every current, every trench, every creature that lived in the dark. We are surrounded by darkness, the ocean commander transmitted. Our lights attract predators, huge creatures with teeth longer than my arm. The humans swim through this hell without fear. They are hunting us like prey, requesting immediate extraction. The transmission cut off. The entire ocean team was lost. 500 warriors gone. Cortex watched the reports in horror. Pull them back. Extract all ground forces immediately. But the Emperor overruled him. No, send more warriors. Send 20,000. We will overwhelm them with numbers. The second wave landed. They fared no better than the first. A message came from a captured Calrix soldier. The humans had treated his wounds and let him send a transmission. They asked me how we can live on our homeworld, the soldier said. He looked broken, defeated. I told them our world is peaceful, gentle, warm but not too warm, cool but not too cold, safe. He laughed bitterly. They said Earth tried to kill them every single day of their evolution. Predators, diseases, weather, disasters, and they survived it all. They evolved to dominate a planet that is hostile to life. He looked directly at the camera. They asked me one question. If we cannot survive a few days on their planet with full equipment and supplies, how did we think we could conquer it? How did we think we could rule a world that even its own inhabitants struggle with daily? The message ended. On Earth, Captain Chen stood in a command center watching the results of their gambit. The desert team reports 40 Calrix dead today, an officer said. Heatstroke, dehydration. Only 12 killed by actual combat. Siberia team reports 32 frozen to death. Another dozen killed by exposure-related failure of their equipment. Amazon team eliminated an entire Calrix platoon. The platoon leader shot himself after contracting a local disease. Said he preferred death to the suffering. General Morrison shook his head. They are dying to our planet more than to our weapons. That was the plan, Chen said. We cannot match their technology. We cannot match their numbers. But they cannot match our world. They came from safe planets to invade a death world. We just made them face what that truly means. She pulled up a communication channel. It is time for the next phase. On the Calrix flagship, alarms blared again. But this time it was not infiltrators. It was the planet itself, Admiral. Massive seismic activity detected across the Pacific Ring of Fire. Cortex pulled up the display. Volcanoes were erupting. Dozens of them. All at once. This is not natural, his science officer said. The eruptions are too coordinated. Too precise. Then the truth emerged. The humans had used captured Calrix explosives. They had placed them in carefully chosen locations around dormant volcanoes. They had triggered a cascade of eruptions across an entire tectonic plate. Ash began to pour into the atmosphere. Millions of tons of volcanic debris. It spread across the sky, blocking sensors, blocking communications, creating electromagnetic interference that rendered half the fleet systems useless. They weaponized their own planet. Cortex whispered. They are willing to damage their own world just to blind us. In the chaos of the ash cloud, the human fleet attacked. Every remaining human ship, every experimental craft, every commercial vessel they had converted into a warship. They came from all directions at once. The Calrix fleet, blinded by ash and interference, took heavy casualties. 20 ships destroyed, 50 more damaged. The humans fought with insane courage, ramming damaged ships into Calrix vessels, detonating their own reactors to take out enemy craft. One human ship, barely holding together, crashed directly into a Calrix battle cruiser. The explosion tore through the cruiser's side, killing 3,000 warriors. The pilot had broadcast a message before impact. Remember the warning. You should have run. When the ash finally cleared 3 days later, Cortax looked at his fleet. 240 ships lost or too damaged to fight. Over 35,000 warriors dead. More wounded. And they had gained nothing. Not 1 meter of Earth's surface was truly under their control. The Calric still had numerical superiority. They still had better technology. But something had broken. Cortax could see it in his officers' faces, in the way the vassal species crews moved slowly, reluctantly, in the messages from the surface teams begging to be extracted. They had not lost the war. But they were losing the will to fight it. Emperor Vaxen watched the broadcast from his throne room. For the first time in his life, he saw his fleet in retreat, not because they were defeated, but because they could not bear to continue. Bring them back, he ordered quietly. Withdraw the ground forces, my emperor, his advisor asked, shocked. Bring them back, Vaxen repeated, before we lose more. Across the empire, other species watched what was happening. The Krill, the Vorten, the Zelnari, all the conquered peoples. They saw the mighty Calric's fleet struggling against one primitive planet. They saw humans refusing to surrender even when outmatched, and they began to wonder, if humans can resist, why cannot we? On Earth, Sarah Chen received word that Calric's ground forces were evacuating. We won? A young officer asked, disbelieving. We survived, Chen corrected. They will be back. But now they know what it costs to fight us. Now they understand what Death World means. She looked at the orbital display. The Calric's fleet was pulling back, regrouping. Send a message to Admiral Cortax, she said. Tell him we warned him. Tell him it is not too late to run. 8 months since the war began. Admiral Cortax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth through the main viewport. The blue planet hung in space, beautiful and deadly. 40% of his fleet was gone. More than half his warriors were dead or wounded, and they had taken nothing. The transmission came directly from the Emperor. Admiral Cortax, you will withdraw the fleet immediately. Return to Imperial space. Cortax felt relief and shame in equal measure. Relief that the nightmare was ending. Shame that he was retreating from primitives. Yes, my Emperor. When should we? Now, Vaxen said. His voice was cold, angry. Prepare for immediate withdrawal. This war is over. The fleet began the process of leaving Sol System. But as they prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, something happened that no one expected. The humans followed. Admiral, human ships are pursuing us. Cortax could not believe it. They are following us? They are leaving their system? Yes, sir. Approximately 60 vessels. They are using captured FTL drives. Primitive installations, but functional. How is that possible? They did not have faster-than-light technology 8 months ago. His science officer looked uncomfortable. They appear to have reverse-engineered our drive systems from salvaged ships. In 8 months, they went from no FTL capability to building their own drives. Cortax remembered Ambassador Theron's words. They learn. They adapt. The human pursuit became a nightmare. They did not have enough ships to face the Calric's fleet directly. Instead, they hit supply convoys, communication relays, isolated outposts. They struck and vanished back into deep space before reinforcements could arrive. One human ship ambushed a Calric supply convoy. It destroyed 3 cargo vessels before retreating. But as it left, it broadcast a message. We will follow you. We will hunt you. You came to our home. Now you will never feel safe again. The psychological impact was devastating. Calric's crews began to fear every shadow, every sensor contact. The humans had become ghosts, appearing anywhere, striking without warning. A Calric's outpost in the Proxima system sent a distress call. Under attack. Human raiders. They have. The transmission cut off. When reinforcements arrived 6 hours later, they found the outpost destroyed. But the humans had left a message written in Calric's language on the station's hull. You were warned. Emperor Vaxen called an emergency council. Ambassador Theron was summoned to attend. How do we stop them? Vaxen demanded. They are raiding our territory, terrorizing our forces. This cannot continue. You could negotiate, Theron suggested quietly. Negotiate? With primitives? They are no longer primitives, my Emperor. They have captured our technology. They have learned our tactics. They have proven they will not surrender. What choice do you have? Vaxen wanted to argue, but reports kept coming in. Human raids. Supply losses. Vassal species refusing to serve in sectors where humans operated. And worse, open rebellions beginning on 3 conquered worlds. The Vorthen have declared independence, an advisor reported. They cite the human resistance as inspiration. They say if primitives can defy the Empire, so can they. Send the 8th Fleet to crush them, Vaxon ordered. My Emperor, the 8th Fleet is currently hunting human raiders. They have lost 4 ships in 2 weeks to ambushes. Vaxon sat on his throne feeling the weight of the Empire on his shoulders. 1 planet. 1 species. They had shaken the foundation of everything he ruled. A message came from the humans. They wanted to negotiate. The meeting took place on a neutral space station operated by an independent trading guild. Admiral Cortax represented the Empire. Captain Sarah Chen represented humanity. They met in a simple conference room. Chen looked tired. Her uniform was worn, but her eyes were steady, determined. Admiral Cortax, she said, we both know this war is not sustainable. You cannot win, Cortax said. Even with our technology, you are still outnumbered 1,000 to 1. We do not need to win, Chen replied. We need to make continuing this war more expensive than ending it. How many more ships are you willing to lose? How many more rebellions will the Empire face because other species see that resistance is possible? Cortax said nothing. She was right. They both knew it. We want a ceasefire, Chen said, and specific terms. Name them. First, the Calrix Empire abandons all claims to the Sol system and 50 surrounding star systems. That space is now human territory. 50 systems, Cortax said. That is outrageous. You invaded our home. You killed millions of our people. 50 systems is a small price for peace. Chen leaned forward. Second, you grant independence to the krill species. They tried to warn you. They deserve freedom for their wisdom. The Empire does not release conquered species. You will for this. Third, you end the practice of forced conscription. Vassal species who want to serve the Empire may do so voluntarily. Those who do not, you leave in peace. Cortax wanted to refuse, but he thought about the rebellions, the raids, the constant fear. And if we agree to these terms, we stop hunting you. We return to our space. We leave you alone. Chen paused. Unless you attack us again. If you do, we will not stop at raids next time. We will bring war to your core worlds. We will teach every conquered species how to resist. We will turn your empire into a battlefield that never ends. You cannot threaten the Empire. I am not threatening. I am warning. Just like the krill warned you. Just like we warned you before you invaded. Some species should not be disturbed, Admiral. Some wars should not be fought. You ignored the warnings. You paid the price. Do not make the same mistake twice. The negotiations took 3 weeks. The Emperor raged. He threatened. But ultimately he agreed. The cost of continuing the war was too high. The treaty was signed. The Sol Treaty it was called. The Calrix Empire would abandon claims to human space. The krill would be freed. Forced conscription would end. In exchange, humans would cease all military operations against the Empire. 5 years later, things had changed. The Calrix Empire still existed, but it was smaller, weaker. 6 species had gained independence. Others remained, but with greater autonomy. The empire that once ruled through fear now had to negotiate with its subjects. Human space had expanded dramatically. 50 systems now held human colonies, and in those systems former imperial slaves found refuge. The krill settled 3 worlds in human space. Other freed species followed. Captain Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the bridge of the UNS Defiance. Humanity's first true warship built from the ground up with both human and alien technology. A transmission arrived from the border. Another empire, the Thalarax Collective, was expanding toward human space. Admiral, her communications officer said, the Thalarax have crossed into the buffer zone. They are demanding we submit to their authority. Chen smiled. It was not a kind smile. Send them a message. Tell them about the Calrix invasion. Tell them what happened to the last empire that tried to conquer us. Tell them about the warning the Calrix ignored. And if they do not listen, then send them the standard response. Chen looked at the stars ahead. Tell them to run. On a krill colony world in human space, Ambassador Theron stood before a monument. It was a simple stone structure with words carved in multiple languages. Human, krill, Calrix, and others. The words read, "In memory of all those who died in the Sol War, May their sacrifice remind us that some warnings should be heeded. May we never forget the price of ignored wisdom. Theron placed flowers at the base of the monument. He remembered the throne room where he begged the Emperor to run. He remembered being laughed at, dismissed. A human child approached him. She could not have been more than 7 years old. "Mr. Theron," she asked, "my teacher says you tried to save the Calrics, that you warned them." "I did," Theron said. "They did not listen." "Why not?" Theron thought about how to answer that. "Because they thought we were weak. They thought that because they had better weapons, they had already won. They did not understand that war is not just about weapons. It is about will, about determination, about how much you are willing to sacrifice." The child nodded solemnly. "My mother fought in the war. She says we won because we had nothing to lose and everything to protect." "Your mother is wise," Theron said. The child ran off to play with her friends, human children and krill children together, former enemies and former slaves, now allies. Theron looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, the Calric's empire continued. Smaller now, humbled, but still there. He wondered if they had learned their lesson. He wondered if other empires would hear the story and learn from it. He hoped so, but he doubted it. Power made people arrogant, made them think they were invincible, made them ignore warnings from those they considered beneath them. But the galaxy was vast. And in the darkness between stars, one thing was becoming clear. Humanity was no longer prey. They were no longer primitives to be conquered easily. They had claimed their place among the stars through blood and determination. And every military academy in every empire now taught the same lesson. Before you invade a death world, before you attack its inhabitants, before you dismiss warnings from those who have fought them before, remember the Calrics. Remember the Fifth Fleet that went to conquer Earth. Remember the Empire that ignored the warning to run. And remember what happened to them. On Earth, in the United Nations Space Defense Headquarters, a plaque hung on the wall.